You're watching The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Imagine being at a convention and going to an interview panel that's just for you. No bustling crowds, no hours-long lines, just you, the moderator, and your favorite comic book creators. Well, this is pretty much that. Miss Jen sits down every week with 2 comic book creators for a live stream interview about their latest work, and you can ask them whatever you want. It's Talking Shop, Mondays at 5 Eastern on The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales.
Join the party. Head over to our Linktree to find all the links for everywhere The Experience is all the time.
All right, hey, we got Alec in. All right, so here we go.
Guys.
Got Dave in the house, Marcus in the house,
Stevie
Josh,
B,
Stevie B,
everybody.
Ron. What's going on? All right, so we're a little squeezed in here today, and the reason for that is because once again,
we meant to talk about it.
This big rack. Okay, we got to get a smaller one, I think. But irregardless, today we're doing a Star Trek special. So joining us tonight, other than obviously Alec, who's with us every Wednesday, John, because he wanders in and we forget to lock the front door. We have Mariano Nicieza with us tonight, creator and good friend. But the reason we have him here tonight is because of his deep roots with Star Trek. So this week, they released the Star Trek The Motion Picture 4D, the director's cut, on First Contact Day, which was yesterday. So we have got a lot of Star Trek stuff. Now, here's what's interesting. We're doing a little different here, folks. So tonight, some of the stuff that you see is actually from Mariano's personal collection. So we're going to have models. We're going to have, let's see, he has a Tech War comic and apparel. So I'll let him explain that. And what's really neat is where Rubenstein, what's going on, buddy? Lars Man, hey.
Lars Man, we're in.
Lars Man, wow, yes. Well, here's what's neat. Mariano was the writer on Deep Space Nine, and he brought some of his comps tonight. And what we're going to do is they are currently unsigned, but we are selling them as signed. And as soon as someone picks one up, Mariano will sign it right here while we're doing the live stream. All right. So that's how we're going to do it tonight. So everybody welcome Mariano. I know that John is a Star Trek expert because he's old and he's from my generation. So
I don't know.
He has all that
I'm
crap.
an expert with Mariano at the
If
table.
he's old, what does it make me? All right.
Well, you're my special guest, so I didn't want to say that. But you're welcome to refer to it as much as possible. Alec, I don't even remember if you were a Star Trek fan.
No.
You had to take it for that. I don't think this is going to work out anymore,
Nobody
Alec.
cares. Ask Misselli. Misselli likes Star Trek, right?
I closed the door.
Miss Ellie, he has a very cute Dotson who shows up and the viewership just spikes whenever the dog's on the air.
And
So
we discussed whether or not Mariano, when he was younger, was Ensign Garrovick in classic Star Trek. Is there any truth to that rumor, sir? Did you in fact wear a red shirt?
Do I look like I've been told I look like Dr. McCoy? Ensign Garrovick. That was in one episode.
That's
right?
a deep cut, right?
Yeah, really.
He's Mariano. The red shirts could die off and then come back. They just changed the ensign's name.
And
it's the same actor. Yeah, they changed.
He said, "Did they have a bomb strapped in?" Blink twice if you'd like to not be here.
So, well, there actually is a lot happening. Obviously, they made the announcement. This was several weeks back that they were definitely doing a new movie on the Kelvin timeline, and all the original cast was coming back from the Kelvin timeline movies, which was supposedly a complete surprise to the entire cast. They had never been told they were coming back, that another movie was being made. So I think it was J.J. Abrams that announced it, and then all of a sudden everybody's like, "What?"
Chris Pine.
He was like, "What? We're making another movie?"
Chris Pine had done some photo work, which he was told was for video game development. Like, he looks really good in like the most recent thing, and he was told it was for video game development. Did his pictures. He said he cut his hair, did his thing, went on his way. He's doing a promo for an Amazon Studios release thing
Right.
soon. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, one day he's at the coffee. He says, "I'm getting a coffee." I open my phone. It turns out I'm back in the captain's chair again.
So
People did not know.
Yeah, I don't know if that was just a snafu on Abrams' part. Maybe it was still in the plan. Who knows? I mean, who knows with these things?
I really want Carl Urban to do the Dr. McCoy part with the Billy the Butcher accent from The Boys. I think that becomes
and the beard.
And the beard, like he could be like a mirror universe.
Which will harken
McCoy.
to the motion picture that we're promoting today.
Yes, correct. All right, so let's take a look.
This has been a big Star Trek week. We
Go
had
ahead.
that. We had Monday was First Contact Day.
Right.
If you watch Star Trek First Contact, you know First Contact Day is the day the Vulcans arrive.
Oh, that absolutely is the best, one of the best out of that series of movies, without question.
We also have, I think it's IDW announced the new Star Trek project will be coming. That might have been the last new comic book day, but they have a new sort of, I guess they finished up their initial run of Star Trek. Now they have something new. People are hoping it's Next Generation. I guess we'll see. Speaking of Next Generation, Paramount Plus streaming service announced that there will in fact be a third season of Picard, and that the 6 original Bridge crew members will be joining him in the final season.
Very cool.
You've got Jonathan Frakes had already agreed to do. He directs like 4 episodes in the first season, and I think 4 episodes in the second. And he'd only had a commitment to, like appear or whatever in the third. It turns out he's going to
direct a couple.
He's going to direct a couple, and he's going to appear as Riker.
And the other news obviously was that a lot of the original cast from Next Gen will be appearing on the 3rd and final season of Picard. And supposedly they're promising us a lot of Starship kind of, because mostly that series has been like planet bound. There's not a lot of.
Maybe they didn't have the budget. It's been very small.
Dude, this ain't 1969 no more. They got a budget, bro. It's not like the original series, We got your hand under the Enterprise. Move to the left a little bit.
If you follow Joe Straczynski on social media, he talks all the time about what he did with Babylon 5 in the 90s. Every single episode of Star Trek ever should look like the final episode of the season 4 finale, where you have all the people from like Chaos and all the people from Order. It's like this massive starship battle. And he talks about that's 50% of our budget. People are like, you should have been doing that all the time. No.
Yeah, you can't afford to.
He couldn't afford to, but now, he's like kids with iPads can do those
it's a lot cheaper now to be able to work the CG and stuff. So JD says they better work Wesley in there. I have bad news. Actually, the article I read, Wesley will not be joining Picard. He is one of the few original cast members that will not be returning.
He does the hosting shows. He does.
But I think the problem with the Wesley Crusher character was he was never truly embraced during the series for whatever reason, and he just he hasn't taken off on the back end there.
I was at a Star Trek convention that Gene Roddenberry appeared at years ago, sitting in a massive auditorium. And when Wesley's name came up, there was like an audible boo. And Roddenberry came out from behind the table where he was seated, and he said, "Just so you know, Wesley Crusher is me."
Yeah.
And he kind of went on to explain that of all the characters he designed, like there were always rumors that Captain Kirk was Roddenberry, because Roddenberry had been in the military and stuff that. Or no.
It was Wesley
the character
Crusher.
That was him that was Wesley Crusher. Like, the young sort of, like the space cadet, to make the analogy, the Robert Heinlein, space cadet guy. Like, I'm young, I'm fresh off the farm, and all of a sudden I find myself in space.
Lars, man, we all had a crush on Beverly Crusher. It had nothing to do with adolescence, dude. So totally feel you there.
And I think at the end, Wesley's story arc ended where he had sort of become like this transdimensional traveler.
That didn't work. That didn't really work for me. That did not work.
So long, and thanks for all the fish. Just.
All right, so let's start off first item of the night, and then after we get through the first item, I'll start reading off the best offers so we can get those. Give everybody the ample opportunity. And we do have some remarks mixed in as well for the evening, non-Star Trek related. All right, so this one is neat. Now this is I will let everybody know what is part of Mariano's personal collection. And this was a neat one when he brought it in. Star Trek: The Next Generation game. All right. This game was produced by Classic Games. You can see in the upper right-hand corner.
That is pretty cool.
What's ironic was that was actually a company that I worked for, Scoreboard Classic Games, and this was one of my projects, was this board game for Star Trek Next Gen. I got to tell you, at that time, we had a license with Paramount to reproduce stuff. And one of the most popular items, and we were on Home Shopping in QVC, one of the most popular items that we had was the Communicator Pen. And the Communicator Pen was unique in that it had a magnet to hold it there. All right. And it was the first one, and it was made out of kind of a pewter-like material. And it would actually sound when you hit it.
Yeah.
All right. Now, and
You can tell them, not me. I'm aware.
We sold a ton of them, absolute ton of them. Yeah, no, I don't. No, JD, I don't want to sign the
Rex,
game
you
and
don't autograph the game?
devalue Mariano's possessions. Okay,
I know, right?
Sign it.
No.
Sign it for the man.
Isn't it shrink? Oh no, it's not. All right. So some of this stuff is shrink wrap. Some of it is not, but it is all in. I'll let actually Mariano describe it. It's all like the models are intact.
Everything's mint. What would happen as a writer for Marvel doing writing work for Star Trek, and then also working with Shatner's office on some of Shatner's properties, they would receive, and we would receive, tons of complimentary material, whether it was coming from vendors who were manufacturing stuff or whether it was coming from publishers printing material. And there comes a point where your basement office or your house looks like a museum. There's only so much of this stuff you can keep.
Oh, you can keep everything.
So
there's always more room. I don't care if I have to buy a bigger house. There's always more room.
You need to talk to my loved ones. So, bottom line, this stuff has been on display for years, and it's all comp material.
All right, John Spilios is
Nice
claiming the
move, John. He
game.
hasn't even finished telling the story. John's like, I want the game. Good job, John.
It is it was the very first board game I'd ever worked on in my lifetime.
That's fascinating.
Not really. Actually.
Yeah,
Thank you for
is.
saying
Please
so,
tell
Mariano.
me that was that project more successful in this one, because I'm hoping that this is the downslide. For you.
Which project are you referring to? There are so many that would constitute the downslide, my friend. But that was a huge time. I remember working. I was still a young man at that time with hair, and I remember having a lot of fun working on it because I was a Star Trek fan. I still am. Believe it or not, at home at nights, Monday through Friday, there is, I ditched Comcast a long time ago. So I have a digital antenna, aerial antenna. And the way my house sits, I can actually watch it. So there's a station, it's 2.4 on my regular TV, H&I. And starting at 8 p.m., Heroes and Icons. And starting at 8 p.m. every night, they go through original series, Next Gen, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise. And I just sit there and I really watch unless there's something else. Tonight, however, I will be watching the second episode of Moon Knight. Joel, I think the Rex is obligated to play the winner of the game while in costume.
Well, in costume.
I'm really looking forward to Moon Knight too.
What's that?
I'm really looking forward to the next episode of Moon Knight too.
Well, needless to say, John has already seen it. He saw it at 3 a.m. when they drop it. Okay.
I believe it. I think I watched it at like
no spoiler alerts. I haven't seen it yet.
Either one?
No, I'm waiting.
Oh, that's right. You told me you're a binger.
I'm a binger.
Yeah. So
and JD,
I know the feeling. That's a good way to do it.
Entire self-storage place rented out somewhere. Actually, a good friend of mine who I've known since middle school, which is decades ago, owns a building that is just sort of being held in hopes that eventually it has value. And there are several areas kind of fenced off. If you've ever lived in an apartment building, they give you a little storage spot with fences to keep your stuff there. They had built a ton of these into this building for whatever purpose. So my comics are in one of those kind of pods. My Star Trek stuff is in another one of those pods. And then some of the things he collects, also comics. He has a ton of Star Wars stuff.
Right.
Like all the pods against the wall are just filled with our stuff, locked, alarm code or whatever. And people are kind of wondering, like, what is in this building?
People probably think, I bet there are like luxury cars and Ferraris in there. Hey,
Little
bust in there. What is this?
Now,
Better than that.
He has two.
Where's the Testarossa?
He has 2/3 of a Honda SR-71 mini bike that someday he'll finish. This bike, I think, is 1972 or 3. I don't know where he's going to find the parts from, but it's just sitting there in this kind of wooden crate thing we designed for it.
All right, so you know what? Let's do. Oh, you know what? Let's do a Gold Key comic. So this is something we picked up along the way, actually several months ago, and it just wasn't a good time to kind of go through a lot. So we have tonight Star Trek #9 Gold Key comics, and these are presumed grades. So that's grades that our opinion is, but we always try to make sure that we're really kind of conservative when we do these grades. All right, so this is not slab.
Is this still from a Muck Time?
That is still from a
Muck Time.
So Star Trek
Season 2,
#9.
episode 1.
Yeah.
So we have one available, presumed grade of 6.0, and we have it for $160. And this literally we only have one of. It was a deal that we happened to run across with all these gold keys, and it was really a complete Run. So that's kind of cool. I know, Mariana, you said you have a complete run as well. Sure. Now I know you have done a lot of work with Shatner through the years.
I have.
That's cool.
It's also a good anecdote.
I have.
Is it true? Is it true?
Is it true? Is it hair plugs? No, I'm kidding.
Is it true you're the Ghost Rider for Tech War? He didn't. There's really no Ron Goulart. It's just you.
No. Stop. So that's how rumors get started.
Especially these days.
It's not true.
You heard it right here on the experience first.
Wait a minute. I wrote that stuff.
I got to know Mr. Shatner, as I call him, back in the early 90s. He had written a novel called Tech War. And
I remember it.
I worked at Marvel Comics at the time. I was an art director and then later an editor at Marvel. And somewhere during that time, and I would commute in by bus, and the commute was like a long hour and a half. So I would read novels during the commute. And one of the novels I read was Tech War, the very first one that he put together. And as I was reading that novel, I was saying to myself, this would make a great comic book. We should get this. We should get the license and turn it into a comic. And I spoke to a couple people at Marvel, and I was just fresh in the company, maybe a couple months. And I took it upon myself to go to a convention. It was actually the first convention that had William Shatner and Patrick Stewart,
the two captains.
And long story short, I got to know the promoters of the show, and by the end of the convention, at night in some back hallway in some kitchen alley area, they introduced me to William Shatner and Patrick Stewart. I met him too. And that turned into the beginning of what was Marvel acquiring the license for Tech War and turning it into a comic book. So that's how I got to know him, and then that friendship just sort of fostered from there.
Still the original captain in many Trek fans' opinion. I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that. I think when they went to Next Gen, I think it was a Will Riker character mimicked the Kirk character more.
It was meant to be a young, brash.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, all right. So next up, now this is neat because I remember having this. I own this.
Joel, you're not that far wrong. Joel said in my storage space is tons and tons of Green Hornet and cases of Spam.
Green Hornets, correct. Cases of Spam, not necessary because he cooks that up.
My buddy did put food in that thing during the height of the pandemic. I don't think it was Spam. I think it was like bottles of water and, stuff that
you get the MREs you can eat that you can buy now.
He actually does. He's the only person I know who likes that food. Like I have military people, I'll be like, I ate it because that's what they gave me.
Right.
He actually prefers the taste of that stuff, which is how I'm pretty sure I should hit him in the head
being
with
a chef,
shovel,
being a chef, that's gotta make your
greenhouse.
Skin crawl every time he mentions it. Yeah, no, don't cook anything for me, John. I got one of these MREs I'm gonna open up here. All right, so this is really so Star Trek Passive to Moav book and record set from 1975. I actually own this. So anybody that is from our generation remembers.
Like older than Alex, isn't it?
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah, it probably is older than Alex.
He's like, oh God, I'm sitting here with the old guys again.
And they had, you could get Batman, you could get Star Trek. You could get all different types, and it would come. And as soon as we find out, JD, I think you have that one. It would come with the comic, but then it would come with a 45 record sandwiched into the back, and you would play the record on your little turntable. And provided you had the adapter for the 45 with a big hole. Why we couldn't make that hole consistent, I have no idea.
They don't know what you're talking about.
I know. Well, I think some people do. I think Stevie B, some of these guys are older.
Okay.
So trust me. Alec, no clue. He's like, what are you
No
talking
clue.
about? Yeah. So
The old guys watch this show because it's what they watch before bed. We're done, and they're like 8 o'clock. Good night.
So I used to have tons of these, and you would just read along with the record and, in the book and the record and so on and so forth. JD, when you were 6. So JD's got to be older than we thought. I always thought you were a young guy. Yes, Dwayne's a pain. You would know when it's time to turn the page because of the phaser sound.
Yes, you would hear. It's exactly right. You hear the phaser sound. It's time to turn the page.
So we managed to find one. I don't even know where we
Spider-Man
found this.
Yes.
Yeah,
It is a best offer book starting at $10. Okay. Again, if you still have a turntable, you could play the record. I recently listened to vinyl a friend of mine had, and I can't believe how scratchy it sounds anymore. But this for me, I may end up with it tonight because this really is nostalgia. If you were around during that time.
Oh, let's bid for it.
And the comics were well produced.
They
The
were
art
actually,
teams
yes.
were good. The writing teams were good.
The
I remember-
voices were a little off for me, because you'd hear the dialogue and it's like, wait a minute, that's not
I
him.
bid 300 quotes on the book and record.
So yes, it was a vinyl record, Alec, long before the days
You
of
know what's better than
streaming
vinyl
music.
though?
What?
Bright red plastic square that you had to perforate. take
Oh
out.
yes,
And then you
yes,
sort
that's
of had
right,
to-
that's right.
I remember my dad always had to put like a 50-cent piece on it to keep it level. So it was
Yeah.
all around.
They had one years and years ago. I think it was like the early 70s or late 60s. It was actually a Topps a trading card set for baseball, but they were actually playable records.
Yeah, they were playing.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was a big thing back then. It's just a 62 lefty. Have that without the record. I have Hulk, Captain America, and Conan the Barbarian with the records. See, this is what I'm talking about. Yes, Dwayne's a pain. I think it was ViewSonic.
ViewSonic. And I'll tell you right now, if we're going to do this show, we're going to need to do a Viewmaster show.
Oh,
We're gonna need to
I
do a
had
Viewmaster
one.
Show.
I even asked my
all
mom to buy
three
me.
of our viewers will enjoy it.
You-
Alex
Three?
is like, you what? No, I'm not.
Oh, I had the one. I remember I had to, Alec, for you younger viewers out there, and Alec, a Viewmaster was like, it looked like funky space binoculars, and there would be a little wheel with pictures, and you
I'm
slide
looking
it,
it up.
and you could, switch
Oh, I
the
had
pic-
one of those.
You had one. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
I had
made-
one.
They actually reissued those, I think, in the 80s.
Did
when,
they
like,
really?
The retro phase was like, they reissued them in like crazy colors and stuff like that. But I remember the original one was like some horrible gray color and some horrible, like weird blue, beige. They were not attractive, but of course, if you were born in the 60s or 70s, this is like cutting edge technology. By the 80s and 90s, people were like, oh, this is cute. And
Yeah.
they would like pick it up,
Well,
mess with it for an hour, and then they'd be like, I should have never bought this.
so Sean Butler, let's see. He says, I think it was a missed opportunity that they never did Star Trek Titan based around Riker. I would kind of agree with that.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think there was a lot at the time they talked about this. There was like a lot of really good ideas, and nobody really wanted to. I think. Oh, there's a picture of Viewmaster. Exactly.
that's it.
There it is.
I think one of the problems was they were very much after Next Generation. They very much wanted to get Deep Space Nine as an independent sort of. So they wanted it to be different. You know, people were like, "Oh, it should have had Riker. It should have had this and that." No,
The
they
first
kind of needed.
Yeah, but
they
that
did
first
wanna
couple of
diverge.
I think the first couple of seasons with DS9, I think the problem was they had lost their way in terms of what worked for Star Trek, and then they fixed the problem. The problem was with DS9, you took a show based on a starship that explored the universe to a stationary space station where the universe had to come to them, and
There's
I
a
don't think
reason
they really
nobody's
realized.
favorite episode is with like the K7 space station. I mean,
Yes.
you know what I mean. It's about the
Yeah.
tribbles. It's not about.
Well, but Deep Space Nine was more than that. They turned that into more of a political.
Yeah.
Yes,
and,
that I agree with that.
Intrigue and it was meant to be a complete divergence.
I
from
agree
what
with that. I agree with that. But
the
I
other
think
two before
But I
they
think they
finished.
kind of remedied the problem when they introduced the Defiant.
Correct.
You see, so now all of a sudden you weren't stuck on in a runabout.
Sean just said DS9 was hurting because it was
I
stationary.
agree.
To a certain extent, that's true. Babylon 5 was also stationary, and that show
that-
still was much
Yeah,
more.
that worked. Yeah, that did
they,
work.
They
I don't-
found a
yeah,
way. Now
that's
I
a good
realize a
point.
lot of that is Joe Straczynski. That
Yeah.
guy wrote almost every episode.
I guess the similarities are because I mean, that was very political as well.
Well, there was always the rumor that, according
Diplomats,
to
Yeah.
there was a rumor that Straczynski pitched Babylon 5 around, and Paramount wasn't interested. And then, like 10 months later, you got Deep Space Nine, and there were similarities. I mean, back then the rumors, like the internet was just being born. So you would have these weird Usenet rumors. You don't know what's true or not. And even years later, Straczynski himself said, I think it was 2015 or 16 in San Diego. He's like, these things happened so long ago. He's like, nobody keeps a live journal their entire life.
Right.
No matter what, you know what I mean? He's like, I don't know who said what. He's like, he admitted, I shopped Babylon 5 all around town. He's like, I thought it was a good idea. He's like, did I talk to Paramount? Yeah, probably. Do I know the exact day and time? No. I don't know what was said. He's like, you go into these meetings, you sit with some suits, maybe one person actually understands the genre. Everybody else is like an accountant or a contract guy, and you try to pitch them on their thing.
All right. So real quick, before we got to go to break, let's do Star Trek number 11 Gold Key Comics. And we have a presumed grade of 7.0. And we have one available for $30. And then after we get back from break, we'll do one of Mariano's models. I remember working on models.
That's great.
I remember having the Enterprise model. So these are all original gold keys. They are not reprints.
Why does she have Magnus Robot Fighter's boots, though? You see?
So those early issues of Gold Key, it was very interesting because the creative team didn't have proper reference, so they made up a lot of their own stuff. They made up a lot of the outfits, a lot of the backgrounds, the
bridge
of the ship, the bridge.
Remember, the Enterprise was much smaller originally in Gold Key Comics than it was in the TV show.
Right.
They're really unique in that sense.
So I mean, let's see. Largely said I really enjoyed Star Trek Enterprise, but felt the last episode did not work. You see, it wasn't. Yeah, Star Trek Enterprise wasn't very well accepted, but I really liked it as well. I mean, to this day, I liked it. I mean, it came off with a slow start, but then when they went to the Mirror Universe and all that, it became really interesting.
The 4th season really big.
Right, yeah. And then they went. Who was it they were fighting?
The Gorn. They brought in the Gorn race.
Gorn.
Yeah, but it was the Expanse. Remember?
And then suddenly, the Borg
appeared. Yeah, with the planet killer. Yeah, the whole thing that really picked it up.
Wipe out Florida. Now, I don't necessarily know if I have a problem with wiping out Florida, but don't you think that's something that would have been reflected in a future timeline that Florida was just gone?
Well, then they had that weird timeline story arc as well. I enjoyed it. I liked Enterprise, but I know it wasn't too overly accepted. But it kind of like Star Trek: The Motion Picture, which is what they re-released in 4D. When it initially came out on the back end of Star Wars, it didn't appeal to a general audience, but I think it appealed to Star Trek fans. I liked it. I thought it was cerebral. I thought it was in line with the way the original series went. I thought, the kicker was, V'ger turned out to be Voyager, and I thought that was real interesting. But it didn't.
Spoilers. People might not have seen this yet from
1979, dude. If you haven't seen it since from 79 till now, too bad. I'm going to spoil it for you.
Yeah, you got a little time.
Musical number in Moon Knight this week. No, I'm just kidding.
But I mean, I think it didn't get a fair shot, and for people that go back and watch it, I think you're going to appreciate it. I mean, it was a very cerebral thing. I understood that they needed to, when they started the second movie, Wrath of Khan, they changed everything, the uniforms, everything. All right. But I love the movie so much. They had a pattern book that I forced my mom to buy and tried to get her to make me a uniform. Okay. That never actually happened. She always told me, yeah, I'll get to it. Yeah, I'll get to it. It's like, and I'm pretty sure she said that just hoping that I would forget.
Was that a uniform for sleepwear, like the foot pajama sleepwear?
Well, I didn't. I was a little kid, so I didn't really know about cons and stuff. I mean, no, I'm not stupid. I'm not walking into class with it. All right, but I remember when they came out with the original phaser toy and the communicator and the tricorder.
Now, which phaser did you have? Did you have the light-based toy where you would hit the targets on the wall?
No. I had the one that came in the package of 3. It came with the toy phaser, the tricorder, and the communicator.
Like the working
It
tricorder?
it didn't do anything. It was just plastic, bro. You made your own sounds, pew pew. You know that kind of thing.
No, there've been multiple
working models now.
Well, I know. Yeah. Guess what? I used to have an old rotary phone too, and it wasn't even the hip kind.
No.
My mom had the old one with the metal dial, so you feel like you're slicing the tip of your finger off every time. 8, ow, 7,
That's why if you
ow.
look at the movies, they use the pencil. Like the secretaries in like the old movies, they always do the pencil because they don't want to get their fingers sliced.
Okay,
off.
I was like 5, John. All right.
Dwayne, you're absolutely right. Those cartoons are very good.
Yes.
Some of them are kind of cobbled from scripts.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Script notes from episodes that didn't get made.
Yes.
I love those. I have all that stuff.
I
on
watched those as
DVD.
well. I
have
mean,
all
I
that
had
stuff.
to.
Too.
All right, so we got to go to our first
Unofficial
break.
4th season.
It is the unofficial.
We've got to go to our first break. Alec is going to try to Google a lot of Star Trek information during the break.
He's going to check out what does he mean Babylon and Shadow Wars. We'll get back
I
to
actually was Googling a few things that when you were talking about it. Like, you guys got super excited about a few things, and I'm just like, I had to look it up.
It's going to be Miss Ellie in the camera. Little
The
Star Trek shirt
generation
on.
gap is huge if you're not feeling the canyon that exists right now. All right, so hang with us. We'll have more talk about Star Trek. And feel free, if you have any questions for Mariano, put it in the chat. And it doesn't have to be Star Trek
And we
related.
do have other stuff. We'll try to get to New Comic Book Day a little bit.
Yeah,
too.
and
I
we
mean,
definitely want to talk about New Comic Book Day, but stay with us. We'll be back in a couple minutes.
Did you know that every experience show, including some exclusive content, streams on Twitch? Check it out. Twitch.tv/the_EXP. Or just scan that QR code.
To be continued. 3 little words that hold the secret to the next great story. 3 words that will thrill you, confound you, give life to new possibilities. Every variation of To Be Continued is a promise of adventure, a promise of excitement, a promise of unseen wonders and unexplored worlds. A promise that every issue you read makes you a part of a never-ending journey. And behind every page, there will be an unopened door waiting for you. This story to be continued at your local comic book shop today. Visit comicshoplocator.com today.
Wasn't in Star Trek.
So,
a ton of people who did Star Trek toys.
So,
back then.
so during the break, John's showing us his collection of Star Trek phasers that he had.
I think at one point I had 5.
All right, Stevie B goes, who's going to be the first to admit they had the Uhura Barbie doll? John.
Why would I? I'm happy to admit that. I have all the figures.
I had all those action figures with their little communicators and the phasers. They would be lost almost within a day because they were so
Is this a
tiny.
Mego?
I think so. Yeah. It was
You know
about
how you
6
didn't
inches.
lose any of that stuff? You didn't let anyone play with it. That's how you.
Dwayne's a pain. That's a very relevant question. Alec,
No.
do you know what a tribble is?
I can in a minute.
Tribble is a
Tribble Star Trek. No, there's a no, I don't.
They're little. They were little
synonymous
balls
with
of
trouble.
fur that would reproduce
They were born pregnant.
ridiculously.
They're born for tribbles or born pregnant.
Yes, they pretty much. All right, so that was a whole episode with. They actually remade that in DS9, which was an excellent episode, I thought.
That's true. With
They remade that, and then put the DS9 characters into the original, and then they remastered
Klingons
it. So
brought charges against war criminal charges against Kirk for unleashing a bioweapon.
Well, what I really liked though was how they explained it in Enterprise, how the Klingons' look changed, because that was a big unresolved kind of issue, and they finally dealt with in Enterprise. It's like, why did Klingons have ridges on their head and they didn't in the original series?
Man, I love
that. Was well done
because of the budget for the motion picture.
Yes, obviously.
Mark Lenard looked great as like the Klingon in the motion picture. They released it in I guess they released it in 4K today. Was today the release day for that?
Wait, Mark Lenard was in that?
Mark Lenard has appeared as
he played a
Klingon,
all three major,
a Vulcan, and as a Romulan.
I remember I remember the Romulan.
He was the Klingon commander at the beginning of the movie.
Balance of Terror. He's the Romulan commander.
I'm gonna have to watch it again. All right, so you know what? Let's throw up one of Mariano's models, because that I had fond memories of that as well. All right, so let's do Star Trek V model kit we have here.
And to be clear, it's William Shatner's model. He just handed it to me, and I ended up putting it up on display for years.
Fair enough. So
opening bid $17,000.
No, actually, and this one comes without the shrink wrap, right?
Correct.
All right, so this one comes without the shrink wrap, but it is all intact, all original pieces. And we have tonight at $30, believe it or not. So it is a steal, a nostalgia steal. Now, the very first model I ever put together was the USS Enterprise. And what was very upsetting to me when I opened the box, the damn thing was blue. It wasn't white.
Really?
Yes, the whole thing was blue.
Yes.
And you had to paint it. And I'm like, I don't even remember. I was like 5. Okay. And I remember putting that thing together, and it was a gluey hot mess. Okay. There was glue everywhere. All right. But that was the very first model I ever.
It's a gluey mess. When you've done it when you do it 4 more times,
is this 5? Is this the right one?
You get it right. This is the Enterprise.
Yeah, no, this is not
the Enterprise. It's supposed to be a diorama of what happened in that episode.
This is we don't even do. No, wait. Do we even have this on the list?
They broke the Romulan model, so they had to go with the Romulans are now using the D7 Klingon design. I'm like,
I remember that.
Just to admit you broke the model.
Marcus forces you to buy paint. Dude, there was so much glue on that thing. Ain't nobody was painting that bad boy. And my mom was not happy about buying the model in the first place, let alone buying me paint.
You never get the decals on straight.
Everything I wanted for every time a birthday or Christmas gift came, I wanted the model again because I wanted to do it better. After like 2 years, my father looks at me, we're in the store, and he's like, "Oh, I'll buy something, whatever." And I wanted the model. He's like, "I know I'm not home a lot, but I think I've bought you this model before." And I'm like, "You guys have bought me this model 4 times. I'm going to keep doing it until I get it right." And he just looked at me, and he looked at the guy behind the counter. We're in a hobby store, and the guy's like, I never forgot this. I'm probably like 8 or 9 now. The guy looks, he goes, "This is why I don't have kids." My father's like, okay, and he buys that, and there I am. I get home, and my father gets home, and they're all on the bookcase. The first one is a disaster. It's not even painted. The second one has broken and had to be hot glued back together. My mom's like, "Where's my glue gun?"
No, my mom didn't help me. It just, when I wasn't noticing, would end up in the garbage can if I wasn't careful. All right, so let's do. This is neat. All right, so let's do Star Trek Deep Space Nine, number 3. All right, and this is going to be signed by Mariano Nicieza if somebody purchases it. So it is not signed right now, and he will sign it right here on the air. Nice. And keep in mind that Mariano was the writer on the Deep Space Nine series. So the personal connection to that, and I assume this is one of your comps, right? That they would send.
Right, they would give us comps when we did comps.
So
this was Paramount's first foray into comics. They ended up partnering with Marvel to start a line of comics. They had Mission Impossible, they had Star Trek, and there were, I think, 4 different Star Trek titles that they published in the 90s.
So Josh went, this is like watching an at-home learning class with 3 old nerd teachers. Well, thank you.
You're right.
This is like Alec get a test at the end.
Yes, there's going to be a multiple choice test at the end of the show, Alec.
I guarantee you in about 3 minutes.
I didn't put that in the email. My bad.
I have to go.
So if somebody picks this up tonight, and we have it for $35, if somebody picks it up tonight, Mariana will sign it right here during a live stream.
That's nice.
In gold.
In gold, no less.
And whoever that was before, somebody posted, I tried to get to all the comments that people leave. Whoever posted that, yes. Babylon 5 pacing was uneven until they really leaned into the Shadow War. There was always, if you watch Babylon 5, there was always like 2 stories going on at once. And I forget what kind of storytelling that's told.
John Butler said
it. Essentially, you would have the main story and an A and B story. Right. And in the beginning, I think the idea was that the Shadow War would be the B story, just something going on in the background. Every writer says they always use that sort of almost like if they don't even have anything ready, something is going on, and they'll get around to getting to it later. Most of the creators I've talked to are like, oh, yeah, you throw that in for something, whether it's a detective story or we're going to lead something later. Between like the 2nd and 3rd season of Babylon 5, the B story became the A story.
Right.
Nobody cared about the visiting dignitary to the station.
Right.
Nobody cared about, what I mean, this character is having this issue or that issue. They're breaking up in a relationship. People wanted to know about the shadow creatures. And I think, and I've talked about this before, I think that Star Trek tries to do that. They haven't done this successfully. And referencing Deep Space Nine, I think if on the show they had tried that route, I think it might have been more successful from the jump.
All right. So Ron wants to see the CCA in the middle of the first rack. Okay. So I believe. All right. Let me see. Yes. Okay. So that's X-Men #1, signed blank cover variant with color sketch art, Scotty, by Ken Hazer. Suggested retail of $89.99. It is one of our 5-star books for $50.
Wow, that's really nice.
So that one I just kind of found sitting there, believe it or not. And I know we've never done this one before.
Just had it laying around.
Yeah, just had it laying around.
You're right, Lefty. You're right. 60 Lefty Blue said Jim Michaels. As soon as he did.
Babylon 5. I love that show as well.
Ron claims.
Ronald got it.
Ron, this thing is so nice.
It is really nice.
Came in.
Ken Hazer is an excellent artist.
He is. Absolutely. So, for me, I mean, I really did enjoy Star Trek: The Motion Picture, and they obviously had a bigger budget to work with. I mean, if you think about some of the scenes, like towards the end when they're walking on the saucer section of the Enterprise to get out to meet with Beecher.
That movie had a deep, rich history because it started life as it was going to be the Paramount flagship TV show, and it was going to be called Star Trek Phase 2. So they developed all sorts of sets and 13 scripts. This thing was going live. It was going to happen. And somewhere in the middle of all of that, they decided, forget the TV show, forget doing a 4th network that would compete with the 3 major networks at the time. We're going to launch this as a motion picture. And then they pivoted and turned it into Star Trek: The Motion Picture. But that's why the behind the scenes rumors about the production of that movie were so chaotic, because it had been a TV show and then midstream cut and turned into a motion picture.
I imagine that Star Wars had a heavy influence on them pivoting like that.
I'm sure that was part of it too. Yeah.
I think it was Ralph Quarry who mentioned that. This is a Star Trek convention I went to years and years and years ago. He mentioned that they had him and Matt Jeffries, one of the set guys, they actually designed a double-decker bridge. There was this idea for like a bigger Enterprise, and there was going to be a split-level deck, and they did a ton of work on it. And he got a memo that said 2 things. first of all, lose the deck because it won't fit into a camera shot. And when he saw the name of the camera, he knew it was a movie camera. So he didn't even have the second part to realize we're not doing a TV show. So he had to change the color and scale of everything.
You know, what's ironic is that when the movie really didn't work at the box office, they threw all that crap out and came up with a new design for Wrath of Khan.
You know what the problem was with the first movie? Immature fans like me that did not want to see an intellectual approach. I didn't want to see any of that. It was too slow for me.
I enjoyed it.
Palette was too bland for me. What I want to see is what they gave me in the second movie. Not so much the third movie, the fourth movie. They kind of, there's two Treks. There are people that appreciate Star Trek for the Roddenberry-ness of it,
right?
Which is the exploration of space. And then there's the guys that, like me, that are not happy unless there's Starship combat,
right?
Unless there's negative interaction down on the surface of the planet, and they can't do that all the time. You know what I mean? They just can't. But in 1979,
I agree. I agree with everything you're saying. If you
that's right.
Look at the first Cage pilot, the very first Star Trek that was ever produced, the Cage, and then you look at Star Trek: The Motion Picture, you're going to see a lot of similarities because that is Roddenberry's fingerprint.
Yeah,
that's what he was really looking to produce. So you're right. There's some odds and ends there that harken back to the previous shows.
Well, obviously it didn't appeal to the general audience, and that's why they made that major shift with Wrath of Khan, obviously changing everything up, which was a good move because that was obviously a much more widely accepted film. It had the action, it had Roberto Montalban, back, and so it kind of made everybody happy because it played off of an original series of Botany Bay. And brought back the old character, and then and it was funny, Kirk with his
Montalban is so good.
The personal interaction between the characters.
Yeah, but wasn't that the one with the bifocals?
Yeah.
Kirk with the bifocals. 1 minute, Khan. And they managed to make everybody happy. So that was definitely the success of that film. You could bring in a general audience. There was enough combat and spaceship combat and all of that. But I mean, the first one, again, I thought it was a good movie. It was just underappreciated because people were looking for that action, the battles. They were looking for that Star Wars kind of effect, and you didn't really get that. There wasn't much. You had this weird powerful.
If you go to one of the suites that you want to customize your phone or Alexa or any of that stuff, listen to the clips for Star Trek: The Motion Picture, right? Listen to the clips from Classic Trek, and then listen to the clips from Star Trek Wrath of Khan. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, every time my wife, and I set my Alexa up this way, every time my wife looks at my basket, the red alert sounds. It really does. It's the Classic Trek, and it lets me know that, she's speaking to my basket, and that's not okay. It frightens my wife because she has no idea what that sound is. She thinks it's a fire alarm. To which my response was, "It actually is. It was."
So 62 Lefty Blues. I can't watch Star Trek the movie. It's up there with Superman Returns and Eyes Wide Shut.
Fast Forward is still not fast. The motion picture it's one of those things where for me a bad Star Trek movie is still better than almost anything else that's good. I'll watch the Star Trek: The Motion Picture before I watch any sort of, this is great, I love The Godfather, I love Jaws. Yeah. If I have a choice between any of those and the motion picture, I'll always pick the motion picture.
All right. So you know what? Let's do something interesting. We've been talking about William Shatner and Captain Kirk for quite a bit. All right. We have a vintage Star Trek: The Motion Picture movie poster, 1979, from Coca-Cola, signed by William Shatner. Now, here's the thing. Okay, again, this is part of Mariano's personal collection, and it does have creases in it, so there is some damage to it. But keep in mind that Shatner's autograph these days is going for a couple $100. Hey, Ron, thanks for joining us, buddy. So we're going to make this a best offer item starting at $35.
$100.
Okay. And again, so you can sort of see the creasing there, but it is hand signed by William Shatner. The signature was obtained by obviously Mariano, who is friends with Captain Kirk.
This was actually a special event at San Diego in 2016.
I'll let you tell it.
It just the poster was after the whole thing. 50 only actually. The history of that poster is ridiculous.
Right.
That's the original print run. They were given out for free in 1979. If you bought a large Coca-Cola at the movie theater, they would give you the free poster. And my brother Fabian was an usher at that movie theater. And when the movie came and went, they had all these posters left over, and they said, "We're throwing them out." And Fabian said, "Hey, you know what? I think my brother will want these." I have had those posters forever.
No kidding.
Forever. And then the opportunity arose in 2016, and there were 50 of them that were in really pristine condition. And William Shatner joined me in San Diego with Factory Entertainment, and there was a special signing. At the conclusion of that signing, the owner of the company handed me a tube and said, "This was one of the nicest autographs from the batch. I'm giving it to you."
I will tell you that I don't know how many years ago it was. It was a lot of years ago, but when
it was a lot of years ago.
When Star Trek Generations came out, okay, our company at the time was doing a lot of signatures with William Shatner, Patrick Stewart, yeah. And even then, a William Shatner signature on QVC was going for 200 and upwards, I think. So it's look, I love all things Star Trek, but guess what? They ain't getting any younger, guys. This is God's honest truth.
And he's an astronaut now.
That's true. That's true. He really did make it into space. But I got to tell you, I mean, for me, it's all this stuff. When Mariano started to pull it out, it was very nostalgic for me because it was certainly all of these things were part of my childhood. So it really is pretty cool to see all this stuff. I mean, I remember playing Star Trek with my friends, and we were so poor we'd be making phasers and tricorders out of construction paper. And, a lot of staples too. Because to get that thickness and that density, you'd have to pack a whole lot of construction paper together, right? But yeah, so it brings back a lot of memories. All right, so let me see.
Do we have any more? What you call? I guess Ron might have already left.
Yeah, I think Ron took off already.
But he hates Star Trek. Put his name on the list. Why don't you like another CCA or something? Just
we could do that. We could do that. So let's do. Fantastic Four #1 signed blank variant cover with sketch art of The Thing by Ken Hazer.
Another beauty.
Suggested retail $9.99. It is a best offer book starting at $19.61.
We have some fantastic. I guess Alex Ross has his spin or his take on Fantastic Four comes out. Let's say maybe May.
Right.
I think in May it comes out. And it kind of, I think it's Alex Ross, but also if you look at some of the stuff that's come out, it's Alex Ross, kind of like, I guess, his imagining what Jack Kirby would have done with new stuff. It's very cool. They're trying really hard to make the Fantastic Four work. And the problem is it's such a dated property. Because let's be honest, it's based on Challengers of the Unknown, which Kirby created in the 50s.
Right.
So you can make the argument this is more than a half a century out of date.
Well, I absolutely love John Byrne's work on it. I thought he brought new life to it. But
Walt Simonson too.
Yeah, Walt Simonson. But while we're on this, let's segue into new comic book. All right. So Alec, tell us what are you seeing this week?
We had in my opinion, we had some pretty good series. There's actually a lot of new ones I thought that came out this week. I mean, you guys had a brand new one. Vault had a new series, DC, Marvel, a lot of new stuff came out from the different publishers. Overall, I thought it was a pretty good week.
We got issue 2 of Little Monsters, which I hideously mangled the name of last month. I think I called them Children Monsters or something.
Where Rubenstein, I got your opening offer for $19.61.
The book is, in fact, Little Monsters, and issue 2 came out this week. I was super happy. A new Rocketeer book now. Stephen Mooney, who's done stuff with Dynamite, Half Past Danger. He really sort of dials into that sort of 30s Art Deco type storytelling style, old Hollywood. And he has one called The Rocketeer, The Great Race, which is, I think, IDW.
Right.
And that's going to be, I think, a 3 or 4 issue
So
story.
Stevie B wants to know if we have a Tang canister autographed by Shatner and Jeff Bezos.
Nice.
Here's my question: do they actually make Tang anymore?
They do make Tang.
They do.
They
I
do
was
make
gonna say, I think they
Who
do.
the heck drinks it?
It's what the astronauts drink.
Shatner
Come on,
and Bezos.
I don't even think they were up there long enough to get thirsty, were they?
AC Slade appreciates the Misfits shirt he's wearing.
Oh my god!
It's that's actually so I. All right, so I talked a lot. I had a lot of hate for this one. I didn't want to pick it up. It struck me as just one of those new Marvel series that's just it's going to be a waste of money. That's how I felt. But I was helping the shop go through the books yesterday or 2 days ago. Yeah, Tuesday. So I was helping them out yesterday, and I was even talking to the guys. I was like, it's going to be such a dumb series. I started flipping through it. And
That's
I
how you
started
get suckered
catching.
in.
Well, I caught a lot of references to like punk rock songs, and I was like, oh, that sounds like a song. I was like,
That's
yeah,
cool.
those are definitely the lyrics. And this is a slight spoiler, but the very end, a character comes in and he's got like his hair coming down. So I'm rocking the Misfit shirt. He's got his hair
Nice.
coming down like Michael Graves. And he even makes in the dialogue box, it was like, I want to hear you scream, or if you want to scream, scream with me. And that's a Misfits song too.
That's a Misfits
And I was
song.
like, I gotta buy this. And they had so many punk rock references in it, and it actually was a really cool story. Will it be good by like the 5th or 6th issue? I mean, I don't know, but it got me on the first one.
That's cool, but I hate to say it though, and this is maybe a little bit of an indication that maybe for Marvel and DC a little bit less would be a little bit more. I know a lot of people that look at stuff, even if they just read the solicitation, right? They're like, this is just going to be another thing, and it's going to be recycled what I've seen a million times before. You know what I mean? Sometimes they manage to make something interesting. How many versions of the Avengers are they going to do?
Right.
If they just pump the brakes a tiny little bit, and I understand,
Absolutely.
they always have to feed the shark. I get that, but just a little bit. I mean, there are times where, like, hardcore Avenger fans are overwhelmed. Just like I think we talked about this before with Spider-Man.
I was gonna say last week we were talking about Spidey.
Spider-Man, and even Batman too. Like Batman's got another 3 or 4 regular books out and then new material on top of that. And I'm thinking to myself, I understand they're trying to monetize this out or whatever, but it's just way too much. And I understand they tried to relieve the pressure of that a little bit with the whole multiverse thing.
Right.
It's still a lot, man. It's still a lot. And I think you're going to wind up into this deal where you're pushing and pushing. The buildup is going to be really high. I mean, there are certain characters that have 3 and 4 titles a month and they just don't need them.
So
I know.
now I got to ask, are we ever going to talk about Morbius and the horrible, horrendous reviews it's received?
People, I don't know how many people have seen this movie, so I don't want to give any spoilers. I'm just going to say I did not enjoy the movie.
Neither did I.
I did not enjoy the
You
movie.
saw it as well?
Oh, it's
Alex,
terrible.
Oh,
So it's Universal.
Other than the Eternals, I don't think there's like any time that I watched a movie in the theaters where I kept looking at my phone like, oh my God, it's like we still got time.
I had a girl who's sitting in front of me that got mad every time I opened my phone because after a while I had to turn like the brightness all the way down because I was ticking off her and her date, and I could see because I'm watching this, I'm like, this can't be right. This can't be right. Like I'm waiting for something to happen, and I'm like,
Yeah.
It is. I think I read today it has about 18% on Rotten Tomatoes. So it is getting pummeled.
It's a Sony movie. That's all it was. And you know what? A lot of people were like, "Oh yeah, Jared Leto. They keep giving him these roles, and he's terrible." I actually think he did a really good job. I think he's the only reason the movie's even bearable. It's not his fault the script is so bad.
So hold up. So 62 Lefty Tang is on the next aisle over from the spam. Thank you, 62 Lefty. Josh Wentz says, does anyone even care about Morbius spoilers? I say go for it.
There's nothing to
I
spoil.
would agree with you, to be quite honest.
It's a spoiled product, not spoilers. It's a spoiled product. Jared Leto is not the problem, to be clear.
No, not at all.
I like him as an actor, by the way. I think
I think he's doing, and maybe Alec has a different take on this. I think that Jared Leto is doing his level best with what he has to work with.
Oh yeah. He's the only reason the movie was bearable.
Yes.
It's not his fault the script was so bad.
Again, I haven't seen
terrible
it.
script.
and that is definitely one that I will watch on a bored night while it's streaming somewhere.
I tell people that watch it on a streaming service. I guess next month it'll be available on like pay-per-view or whatever. I cannot stress this enough. If you're a hardcore Morbius fan, sorry. But it's just not. I mean, I go see these movies and I always go see them IMAX or RPX or whatever the highest quality. I need the air-conditioned seats and digital sound and all this other stuff. I drop $30 in almost every movie I see between pretzels and hot dogs and soda. Now, that's my choice. I sit down and I'm invested, and I think close to $30.
You could just sneak a hoagie in, right?
And I'm watching this thinking, man, this has got to get better. This has got to get better. And about 40 minutes into it, here I am. You know what I mean? And I don't do that, particularly with Marvel movies.
So Sheldon,
it makes the Eternals look good. That's how bad this is.
Oh, that is a resounding no.
It makes the Eternals look good.
So Sheldon's got some interesting info. Did you know that there are QR codes in the Moon Knight episodes which are links to digital comics Werewolf by Night 32 and 33? I did not know that, actually. Alex, seems like you knew that, though.
Yeah, they I can only speak for the first episode, but one scene they just had like this random QR code in there, and they linked it to the actual comic. I didn't do it, but I knew. I read what it linked to.
I saw it, but I didn't.
So it just pops up on screen, or how do you know to cue it?
There's like in the first episode, at least, I can't remember if he was in a museum or he was in somewhere, but he was like, he walked kind of not past it, but like right before, and then he just stopped for like a minute or something, but it was in the background of the scene. So it was like, you could pull up your phone
it eventually. I'll see what you're talking about eventually.
So just so you know, Alec, it's because Mariano is a binger. Okay, so he is not a forced binger. He is a binger by choice. So he wants all the episodes come out before he'll sit down and watch them.
But based on the first 2 episodes, it's definitely worth watching so far. I mean, it might be the next episodes are awful, but like the ones we've seen so far, I mean, like I said, it's just a personal thing I do. I'm old. I get up early. I get up super early to watch these things. I have
You're retired. You're perpetually on vacation.
I have a friend who asked me, "Is this worth getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning for?"
I like the way that he does it too. Moon Knight was a little bit different because I really didn't want anyone to spoil it for me, and I just knew people were going to spoil it. But I still haven't seen Hawkeye. I watched Loki all at once. Same with the What If. I prefer to binge it as well. I don't
even remember Hawkeye now. It's been so long. And you haven't even watched it yet. So
my advice to people who want to watch Hawkeye is wait till Christmas time.
Yeah.
At this point now,
it's a new Christmas movie.
If you haven't, literally, it's become like the new Christmas movie. I was like, I remember it was like, it was the day after Christmas and we were bored. And I just put it back on. And I'd already seen it, of course, several times. But I was like, this is a great kind of quote unquote Christmas movie.
Right?
Yeah, 62 left. Yeah, I agree. On Suicide Squad, which then led to Peacemaker, which I absolutely loved. So
here's the problem with R-rated movies, though, right? When you're owned by Disney, I don't know how R-rated they're going to let people go.
Right.
Like The Punisher. You know what I mean? Are you really going to sort of, how Punisher are you going to get on a big budget? I mean, I think they did real well on the show. That Netflix show they had. I think that was, that's about as far as they're going to go. I don't know how much.
All right. I think we had to go to our next break. So when we come back, we're going to roll through all the Deep Space Nine issues that we have available that if you pick one up, will be signed by Mariano live during the stream.
We'll talk more about New Comic Book Day.
We'll talk more about New Comic Book Day, and then dip back into Star Trek because
we also have a couple other books here too, right? We have a couple other non-Trek books up here, I think.
I think we only have one more. It would be X-Men Schism, and that's a CCA.
Okay,
we'll
get.
All right, so stay with us. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.
There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit ComicShopLocator.com to find a store near you.
And we're back. All right, so Mariana will be back in a second, but I did want to run through this real quick, and then we'll get to the gold key. So we have Star Trek Deep Space Nine, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 8, and number 9. They are all $35, and they will be hand-signed by Mariana Nicieza while we are live streaming on the air. And just to remind anybody, or anybody that joined us a little late, it is this was a title that Mariano actually wrote in his illustrious career as a comic book creator, and he will be signing them live on the air in gold paint pen.
And exclusively for this show, I'm going to do this left-handed.
Nice.
Our viewership just dropped when you said that.
Who makes southpaws? It's terrible.
Oh my gosh! All right, so we have all of those available tonight, and then we're going to get back to the gold keys. Now, the gold keys. Now, I know that Mariano knows quite a bit about them because he has his own collection and he's a huge Star Trek fan. The run started in 1967 and didn't end until 1979, right?
Yes.
That to me is an amazing span of time. So, all right, so let's do Star Trek number 10, gold key. We have one available for $30. Presumed grade is a 7.0. So
one of the success things I think of comics real simply was that there was no Star Trek content. If you lived in this part of the country, you had two options. You could go to try to find the dwindling number of retailers that were carrying gold key comics, which became more and more difficult. By the time you got to the mid 70s, a lot less people carried carried gold key in this part of the country than had 10 years before. And that wasn't the best. I don't know if it was the advent of retailer stores. I don't know if maybe it was like distributor pressure, but it was getting harder and harder to find gold key.
Well, I can understand it running that long, mainly because, obviously there was an appetite for it for fans out there.
That's what I was going to say. The only other thing you had
the fan magazines.
You had fan magazines. You had like Starlog, which is sort of like 50% of the Star Trek magazine. And then you had this.
Yeah.
It was either that or you turned on WPIX at 11 o'clock.
And watch reruns.
You watch Star Trek and hope the Yankee game finished. Like I didn't have enough reasons to hate the Yankees.
Not for me.
You wait till the Yankee game finished. And then you kind of got
At least they were really bad during that era.
They were bad. And then you wound up getting the Honeymooners. Twilight Zone.
I remember the Honeymooners. Yes, Twilight Zone. Yes.
And Gold Key made its fortune with licensed properties. And when it comes to licenses, because of the Star Trek popularity explosion in the 70s, that was like a golden ticket.
Yeah.
So this was my daughter wasn't even born yet. So this is over 20 some odd years ago. The company I worked for, we were licensees, obviously, from all the Star Trek stuff we were doing, the game and the Communicator Pen. So there was a big licensee meeting at in Vegas. I remember going to that, and that was the first when they first opened the Star Trek Next Generation Experience ride. You guys remember that?
I do remember, yeah.
And I remember going there because it was a hot mess because the company would not let me stay the extra night. They wanted me home, right? So I had to catch this red eye. So the banquet where all the attendees got to go on the ride for free was that night. So It was a black tie event. I'm in a tuxedo. I remember waiting in this massive line with all these people trying to get on the ride. And I'm waiting. I'm checking my watch, and I'm waiting, and I'm checking my watch, and I'm like, "There's no way I am leaving Vegas without getting on this ride." So I'm like really dancing with the devil here, looking at my watch. Get on the ride. I had a great time. Okay, it was a great ride. Bolt back to my hotel. Okay, I'm not flying a red eye in a tux, right? Change clothes real quick, shove the tux into a bag. That was back in the day of garment bags. Remember those, boys?
Oh my God.
We all carried that heavy garment bag. Stupidest thing ever. Okay, because we didn't want our clothes to get wrinkled, and they get wrinkled anyway. All right, because some lady would shove her little bag right on top of my garment bag. No, that's not wrinkled. That's pressed. What are you doing, lady?
I got that from Nordstrom's. How dare you?
And I remember that was really a lot of fun. I mean, and even the meetings were fun because I attended a session where Majel Barrett Roddenberry was there. And she gave a speech. I met Jonathan Frakes because he was in a breakout session with a bunch of licensees or whatever. And he was as tall as he seems appears on TV.
He's about 6'4".
Yeah, unlike Tom Cruise.
He used to be Captain America.
What?
He used to be
Captain America. He's a big, tall dude.
In the 80s, he was Marvel Comics when they did events.
Oh, I did not know that. Yeah. That's interesting. I thought you were talking about that lousy Corman miniseries. No, that guy was blonde, and he was like...
That guy was blonde, but even he was the third Captain America. If you want to talk about live-action Captain Americas, Jonathan Frakes is the first, quote-unquote. The second is Reb Brown.
Oh, yes.
And I can't remember the name of the actor who did it in the Roger Corman movie, which was maybe less said.
Lars Man enjoying a Bullet 95 ride. I wish I could be enjoying that with you, my friend.
Think there's just coconut water in here?
And you didn't bring any for me? You are so selfish. No taco truck. Okay, no bourbon, nothing.
I should have brought those bottled margarita things they served at the pool at my hotel last week.
Bring me anything.
Could have, would have.
Last show, you see me eat a cup of noodles, ramen noodles, man. Clearly, you need to bring the man food.
That was sad.
Yes, thank you.
That was very Bob Cratchit level sad.
Yes, thank you.
Over here, and
Thank you.
Nick won't let him put like one more coal in the furnace to heat up, and he's slurping the noodles.
I've been stealing sriracha from one of my colleagues. Okay, and he must be hiding it now. He must know I've been stealing his sriracha. He goes, wait a minute. There was a half a bottle yesterday.
A person would be concerned that their Dynamite comics were made on the backs of people eating ramen noodles, but I didn't care because this week I got Dynamite.
Just make sure you send me that recipe for Loco Moco.
Oh, real quick, new comic book day. Yeah,
yes,
obviously we had the latest iteration of Dynamite, which is just a lot of fun. It's kind of spun into this, I don't want to say slapsticky, but the term they used to use is hijinks. It's just a very cool sort of, if you watch Z Nation or Zombieland or any of these kind of projects where they're trying to survive in a zombified world, is very, very cool. And Project Superpowers Fractured States. I talked about this pretty much all day on Twitter. People got sick and tired of me talking about it. But I love Project Superpowers. It's one of my absolute favorite things Dynamite does. And Fractured States is sort of, I wouldn't say it's multiversal, but it's, like I guess John Byrne used to call this grim and gritty G&J. And it's sort of like it's 25 years in the future, I think. And things have not gone well. And, they kind of start off from there. I absolutely love the covers that they've done for these. Hit up your retailer and say, hey, look, dude, what covers do you have for this? Because they're really neat.
All right. So next up, we're going to do Star Trek Doctor Who Assimilation 2, number 8, DF exclusive cover. And it is a best offer item. It is suggested retail of $29.99. It is a best offer book tonight at $10, starting at $10.
Nice.
So anybody that is watching for the first time or has never put a claim through,
Cool.
We have two types of claims. We have a buy it now claim. We'll throw out a price, and the first person to claim it in the chat takes it. And then we have best offer at the end of the night. We'll have a starting point. We'll throw out a price. That'll be the starting point, and the person that has the highest offer by $7.55 right before the end of the show will be the winner. So I will do all right. So that is a neat one. Locutus.
Get to the good one.
Which good one?
Star Trek Green Lantern.
John and all things green. All right.
Larsman bids 10 on that. Larsman, that's a very
All
cool
right,
cover,
buddy.
man.
I got you, Lars, man. Hold up.
I was super excited. I enjoyed both of the Star Trek Green. They did a bunch of really cool crossovers with Star Trek. Green Lantern was in there. Planet of the Apes was in there at one point. And that was just a lot of fun stuff to read. I'm going to call it between like 2015 and 2018.
All right.
They did a few series, and they were a lot of fun.
Let's do Star Trek Green Lantern, the Spectrum of War #1, Dynamic Forces exclusive pure line art, black and white cover, signed by Jay Lee.
That's nice.
All right. And
There's
it's
a couple versions of the cover, right?
Yes, we do. Suggested retail of $59.99. It is a buy now item for $29.99. It is limited edition number 25 out of 125. And Jay Lee has signed it in John's favorite color, and that would be green.
Shouldn't the price be like $29.62 or something instead of $29.89?
Fine. The price is now $29.62.
To reflect the accurate star date, Nick loves doing the accurate dates.
So,
you're right. We absolutely need a
all
Star
right,
Trek
you got it,
Kiss
Lars, man.
crossover. I'm going to go next door and tell Nick that I want to see this.
got you, Lars, man.
Lars, man,
Very cool.
It's really, really nice.
And for a Jay Lee autograph, that's actually ridiculous. All right. So little Star Trek factoid. Did anybody notice that when the what was it? Star Trek 3 was Search for Spock, right?
Yep.
So then Star Trek 4 Voyage Home. Anybody notice that the entire bridge of the Bird of Prey from 3 to 4 changed?
Well, it's because it had to be repaired because it was damaged.
Not that much, bro. Not that much. It was completely different because I remember it was in 3. It was Christopher Lloyd who played the Klingon commander, right? So you look at that, and then look at 4 when it's Kirk and the crew in there. Completely different.
It had to be both repaired and modified because most of the stuff was.
It got smaller, John. The bridge got smaller.
It's downsized.
Your explanation is not flying, bro.
Clearly it does because it made it onto the screen.
Clearly it does not.
You've given me something new to think about because
Thank
in
you.
all this time
There is complete. The chairs. I mean, everything is
I've
different.
been defending this for years. I've practiced.
You have.
I have been defending this.
Someone's
for years.
brought this up to you before.
Someone brought it up
It's
in a
poorly.
Star Trek
You're
convention.
defending it poorly.
The
Had to be repaired.
miracle worker decided this bridge isn't going to work, and off camera, he modifies it to be more Starfleet friendly. Well, how is that hard to believe? If all the things Scotty has done, that's the least impossible thing he's done.
I got you, Lars, man. You claimed the Star Trek Green Lantern black and white.
He defied the laws
signed by
of physics
Jay
by cold starting warp engines. So trust me, redesigning the bridge of a Bird of Prey, not difficult. He invented transparent aluminum.
He did.
Actually, I believe it was the Vulcans that did the repair work on the Bird of Prey.
Boom!
Smack! Mic drop.
So then,
Take that, read it.
So it's even more believable that they just fixed it. They improved it. Probably it's Scotty's instructions. But,
All right, what do you think happened?
I think that the budget changed again.
Yeah, that doesn't work, though. You have to explain it within the movie.
I just did. The budget changed. The Vulcans are cheap. I don't know what to tell you.
They've evolved past the need for money.
I'm just saying it's
we
completely
have not, so
different.
put another book up that someone has to pay for.
All right, so let's see here. Let's do the tech world.
Well,
that's kind of
neat.
neat.
They did make the ready room bigger.
Let's do the tech world. That's kind of neat. So we have a tech world apparel and comic book #1. We have one. It's a set, and we have it for $100. And Mariano, tell us about it.
Wow, nice.
So because it was William Shatner and because it was sort of a hot ticket license back in the 90s, the sales department at Marvel put together these sweater apparel pieces, and they were limited. It was limited run of maybe 100 pieces of those sweaters that were embroidered with the logo, and Shatner had signed the character's name, Jake Cardigan, and that was the signature that was put on the embroidered patch.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's a Shatner signature, however, not quite, because it reads Jake Cardigan.
Was there talk about turning? Was there a TV series?
There was a tech.
That had an actually really interesting history.
I kind of remember that there was.
There was a series
You
of
don't want to say this for the
television.
Tech War show?
I'll repeat myself. There were a series of made-for-television movies, 2-hour movies, and they acted as pilots, and that segued into a sale for an ongoing hour-episode series. So it was on USA Network for 2 or 3 seasons, Tech War or Tech World. I forget what they called it. I think they just called it Tech on TV.
And I want to say that, especially for our younger viewers and Alec, gonna need a number 2 pencil for the test at the end of the show, by the way, Alec. Just so you know. But I don't think the younger generation today, like my daughter, has no clue about Star Trek. She sees me watch, comes down from her room, sees me watching it on H&I all, every night. And she just, I can always see her eyes rolling. She's grabbing something from the kitchen. I don't think the younger generation realizes what an impact that TV series, the movies, the next generation, the effect that it had on American culture. And you may not remember this either, but one of the most popular cell phones that came out was the Motorola Flip. And the reason...
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Not even the laser. I'm talking before the laser, the gray one with the pull-up antenna. Yeah, I'm talking way back, dude. All right, everybody wanted that flip phone. And why? Because it looked like a communicator. That's why I wanted it. All right, it would look like a communicator from the original series.
And the designer admitted that he designed
Yes,
that
exactly,
phone,
right. So I mean, if you're obviously, I know you know with the amount of whatnot shows you do, you must have an iPad, Alan, that you're using for something.
I have an iPad, yeah.
Yeah, that came from Star Trek, buddy. Okay, that concept was invented by Star Trek, and then some designer who finally, IT guy who designed the iPad said, "Oh, look, that's a really good idea if you can just touch the screen and stuff." Okay, I don't think people understand the effect that it had on a lot of things that we did, and the space shuttle program, the Enterprise, not named because ships were named the Enterprise, but
Yeah, it
because
was like a write-in.
yeah,
There was
you know,
there was a write-in effort
it
behind
has
that.
exactly. It has had such an overall effect on American culture, and people don't really realize. You know, Star Wars had a different effect, you know, very much so. But Star Wars was, or Star Trek was, a best case scenario, and I think that's what drew me to it. I mean, there was a political structure there. You can't tell me that you know the Klingons and the Romulans didn't represent the Soviet Union and communism throughout the world, and the Federation was the utopian best case scenario of democracy, and you know we've cured hunger. Nobody's
telling you
hungry.
that's not it. That's
Right.
it.
Right. No, I know that, but that was what was so for me. What attracted me to it was it looked at the best parts of human nature and what the best outcome would have been. They've solved the problem of hunger. You know, there is no more commerce because people, you know, don't chase after wealth. They chase after personal enrichment or whatever. You know, once you take care of all these little mundane problems like starvation and disease and, you know, stuff like that, all of a sudden this is what human beings could aspire to be. And that to me was always the attractiveness of it. You know, Star Wars was just cool, you know, lightsabers, blasters, whatever. But if you look at it, it didn't make that kind of, it never tried to. And it wasn't that thing, but it never tried to make that kind of statement, you know. And as I get older and older, Star Trek has more meaning, more significance than what Roddenberry originally was trying to say.
Well, I think Roddenberry looked at it in this way, and he talked about this at a show he was at years ago. He was a fan of Robert Heinlein, and Robert Heinlein was a proponent of the future is good. And back then, science fiction tended to be broken up into three things. The future is the same. It's just same, different day, right?
Right.
Nobody wants that. Then there's the future is bad. There's aliens, there's monsters, there's zombies, there's whatever. Nobody wants that. Or there's no future. It's Burgess Meredith sitting like in a blasted ruins. I've got all the time in the world to read, but not
H.G. Wells.
H.G. Wells. And then you had Robert Heinlein, who did this stuff like have spacesuit will travel and space cadet. and Starship Troopers, which
that was very tongue in cheek.
Which was sort of this. We make it to the future, and where we've got a sort of, you know what I mean. We have a definitive in Starship Troopers. We have a definitive end.
Well, I mean, what they put in terms of, you know, I love the TV commercials, although they didn't get it exactly right. Nobody ever does. But what I found interesting about Starship Troopers, they had the go here if you want to hear more.
They invented the crawl.
Holy crap!
Would you like to know
That's
more?
Today, yeah.
That's exactly.
It's like all of a sudden I search for something and all these ads pop out, right next to it. Like, yeah, here you go. This is what you were looking for. Like, how do you know what I was looking for? It scares me. Lars Man says, "Amen. The young rock star just needs a long catered binge week and lowered expectations. Those of us that love it, hype it so much because I get a funny feeling that Lars Man, the bullet is taking effect."
How
many shots have you had, Lars Man?
You're right. That's been discussed in a bunch of Star Trek novels as well. The analog that the Vulcans are the Greeks and the Romulans are the Romans.
Right.
Like if you're looking for some sort of historical context.
Well, actually, according to the Aeneid, Romulus was the man who started the Roman Empire. So that's not too far enough, Lars Man. Yep, enough. Good man. I'm gonna pour myself a glass as soon as I get home and watch Moon Knight, and look for that QR code that I probably will mess up when I try to take a picture of it.
Now, you can get Saurian brandy, you can get Romulan ale. There are people who buy licenses and will do wine or spirits or whatever.
Well, I think what's interesting is that after the motion picture came out, there was so much interest. And I thought somebody would have made a gajillion dollars if they actually manufactured the uniforms and stuff. The fact that somebody actually published, I guess you could call it the beginning of cosplay, really.
Yes.
And somebody actually had the sense to produce like a pattern book. I remember my mom used to make clothes for us.
I tell everybody,
get those,
do you know where
those
cosplay?
Thin kind of tissue paper patterns, and then you cut the pattern out. And
you know where cosplay was born?
Where?
The Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
People going to a theater and running around dressed up like characters.
That is true.
You're right.
That is very true.
I too was an usher, like he who will not be named.
I was an usher too.
Are we talking about Voldemort, or are we talking about movies?
But no, I was an usher in the theater, and it was when the company I worked for. If you were a new usher, you worked at like the Schmemmy 99-cent replay theater. Then after you were experienced and learned how to do stuff, then you could work at the first row theater.
Thank God for the 99-cent places, because you know how many movies I saw in the summer thanks to that. And we rewatch a movie. I remember when Star Wars came out, me and my friends must have watched it 13 times. Yet we only paid to watch it 4 times. I'm pretty sure.
You just stay.
You just stay, and the usher didn't care. It was like 9 people, and you remember that was
$3 an hour. I mean, you're lucky you showed up for $3 an hour.
You remember that the movie theaters weren't like the multiplexes of today, or even of yesterday. They were the old vaudevillian kind of, so they were huge.
I used to love sitting in the balcony, man.
Oh, yeah, the balcony. Well, they finally, towards the end, they closed them all off. They wouldn't let, because, I'm sure some kids messed it up for everybody else, not me.
Not me.
I was never tempted to throw any kind of popcorn or anything like that over the balcony. No, never. I would never do that. My mom would be shocked if she heard I did that, things of that nature. So, all right. So let's see. You know what's neat? I want to do this one.
Sure.
Star Trek: The Motion Picture Collector's Promo Prints. We have one set available for $50. And the reason I want to do that is because we're talking about those old movies and movie theaters. And I don't know if everybody, well, the old guys know, our old guy viewers know, but every movie would have something called lobby cards. Alex looking like
There's lobby cards in one sheets. They were different sizes.
Yes.
I don't know.
One sheet was a poster of that movie. Okay. And it would be somewhere in the lobby of the movie theater. And then in the lobby of the movie theater, they would have all these hanging frames, glass cases. And what they would do is every time there's a new movie, they would put certain still photos of the movie. And they were called lobby cards because they sat in the lobby. And they were of a thicker stock. So this particular item, when Mariana brought it in and we were trying to figure it out, it definitely looks like lobby cards. All right. So JD,
also
it's
the
listed
small-
as STTMP Collector's Promo Prints. Amy, do we not have a picture of the cards? Can we
It's
just,
also possible.
They're up here. They're on
actually,
the
yeah,
rack.
they're right here.
It's also possible they could be box office cards at that time.
It could be,
True.
but they actually do look like the actual movie lobby cards. I remember that. Things have changed so much. It's actually sad. How large are they, would you say?
12 by 12,
Yeah, 12 by 12. You would
which
say 12.
kind of leads me
Which-
to believe that they're box office cards.
Could be. Could be. So there are 3. All right. And this is for Star Trek The Motion Picture, which obviously was just re-released yesterday. Director's cut in 4D. So one of the Enterprise, one, of course, of the big 3. Yep. And there are away jackets. And, of course, from the original series. But to me, this is nostalgia as well, because it is just something I remember going to see movies long before the days of streaming, even before the days of VCRs. And then came the Betamax VHS battle. I remember I remember going to one of those electronic stores, man, and they were full of salesmen. It was almost like buying a car back in those days. And I remember my mom not knowing, and I said, "Mom, I think you should get the VHS." That's one of the few times my mom goes, "Son, that was a good call."
You know what? I love Betamax, and Beta was a superior format, but VHS, they had the marketing and they had the licenses.
They ran it over.
And they just ran it over, because I read an article too. Betamax actually wound up being the way the industry did that kind of media recording for years and years after. And they never did it on VHS. It was always done on a Betamax style. VHS didn't take over in the industry till like 10 years later. Finally, people were like, well, this is what we do now. Bing Crosby Productions is credited with inventing video cassette recording.
Alec, he was a singer, entertainer. He performed during the days of Frank Sinatra, Gene Kelly. Yes, he has several movies before color. What's his most famous song? The Christmas
White
one.
Christmas.
White Christmas. Heard of it.
No, you're funny.
Yeah.
Got jokes. Rex got jokes today.
Nice guy.
He's a very nice guy, but I mean, I know for a fact that I have a pair of shoes that's probably older than
On
Alec
his
is.
final appearance on the show.
Now there's a high chance you got shoes older than me.
Oh yes, there is. Large Man says I can tell you more about Bing Crosby than you would believe.
Wants to talk about high society.
Oh wait,
Large Man wants to talk.
Wait, I got a shocker for Alec. First of all, actually I do, because back in the olden days,
God, like he hasn't heard enough of this.
my mom was had a big thing about shoes and buying quality shoes. Everything else she was very cheap about, but shoes, she says, if you buy the right pair of shoes, it will last you a lifetime.
Yeah, shoes last.
So I kid you not, bro. I have a pair of shoes that I graduated from high school with, and that was in 1983. How old are you?
Oh, wow. 29.
Yep.
And you know what he's
And
thinking?
my mom was right. My mom was right. Those shoes, I've gone to. I actually got them because I found them in my basement, and just because now I'm never gonna wear them, but just out of the sense of nostalgia.
You just gotta open up the checkbook.
No. I had to find a shoe cobbler. Okay, and I found one. It's in the Berlin Mart. So I went to him. I went to him because I wanted to get the heel replaced, and I wanted him to resole the interior because that kind of deteriorated, but the uppers and everything else was fine. So
they're amazed when they see shoes like that, right?
Right. So I looked everywhere on the internet. I finally found that place at the Berlin Mart. So the Berlin Mart's like this open during the summer, but they also have an enclosed
it's like the
kind
flea
of
market that time forgot.
Yeah, and they got food, and dude, there's a cheesecake place in there that's absolutely banging.
It's like Mennonites or Amish or something that make the cheesecake in there.
No, this it was not, but they do have a bakery. The Amish and the Mennonites have a bakery. And I finally found that shoe cobbler and had him do the work. Ironically enough, his daughter played softball in college as well, so we hit it off famously.
Nice.
But I'm going to watch how I do this, Alec. I'm going to loop in Bing Crosby and his connection to Star Trek. Are you ready?
I'm here for it.
So Bing Crosby's granddaughter or daughter?
I'm going to learn something new right now.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, we're the learners. You got the connection.
Next Generation, Lieutenant Yar, Denise Crosby.
Oh, yes.
Thank you. Boy, my God. You see this? I'm here with three old guys trying to remember stuff. Your feet didn't grow since high school. They have not, Josh. Unfortunately, I hit my growth spurt, if you can call it that, because I'm all 5'9", by the time I was 17. So my dreams of playing in the NBA were quickly squashed.
Yikes.
I know the feeling.
But yeah, same size shoe as back when I graduated from high school. But so there is how I connected Bing Crosby to Star Trek.
Nice.
I know. Thank
Nicely
you.
done.
Hey, I'm not playing. You're dealing with professionals here. Bing Crosby mercilessly beat his children, so maybe that.
Oh no! Don't read that. That's all.
I didn't even know. Is that true? I mean, there's an expose on Bing Crosby. Who knows?
Every Hollywood star has this sort of these exposés that come out. They did this. They did that. It's asking too much for me to remember which star had this problem and that or whatever. And Montgomery Clift's going nuts in the steakhouse. I can't remember all that stuff.
She was just at WinterCon a few weeks ago. If I had known this, I would have asked.
Well,
your grandfather throw you a beating? By the way, I used to write this stuff. I want to be in the room for that. I'll drop the $500 for that. Forget the rest of the con.
Well, I hear she chose to voluntarily leave after first season. That's why they killed her off. But obviously, she changed her mind and came back as Sela.
I think at the time she talks about she had issues with the industry.
Yeah,
there were certain things that she didn't like. She really didn't like the sort of, and I guess that didn't come till years later. But she didn't like the fact that most of the women in the show were portrayed a certain way, which you can make the point is very Star Trek. Everybody is sort of supposed to be seen equally of their own merits. IDIC, infinite diversity, infinite combinations. So she probably didn't like the fact that, they were urging her to wear a mini skirt or some of that other sort of.
So Stevie B says, what happened in 7:30 break? I am sorry, Stevie B. You get 3 old men up here plus 1 young man.
Oh, you better take the 7:37 break.
So we're going to take a 7:37 break. Stay with us. We'll be back in a couple minutes.
Thanks for tuning into The Experience. Help us out and hit subscribe over on YouTube and click the bell when you do. Need some help? Scan the QR code in the bottom corner.
This is The Experience.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hey there, hi there, hello there. You're as welcome as can be.
Hi, I'm Nancy McCann. Welcome to Friday Night Live on The Experience.
Welcome, everybody. It's Fat Jack's Comic Crypt. Brendan, Al, Jason, hanging out. There I am. Welcome back to Kicking It with Henry, folks. I am your host, Henry Kumpa. It's great to be here with you guys.
So we are going to talk about books that are in stores this week.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Mishmash.
Hello, and welcome to the Black Comics Universe, presented by Peep Game Comics.
And you gotta love it that the first people in a minute to skim it are creators.
Up, everybody! Welcome to another Wednesday Warriors. My name is Joey Galvez, and this is my pal Ambrosia.
Hey, everybody! Welcome to Space Cadet.
Hey!
What's up?
Welcome, everyone, for another episode of I Must Ask You a Question.
Hi, everybody! Welcome to Nerd News Now.
Hey, this is Rex. Welcome to Comic Collectables.
Hey, hello, all you happy people. Welcome to the Dan Wickline Show.
Hi, everybody, and welcome. This is the crazy show that we do on Thursdays called What's in the Box? What's in the Box?
Comic culture and sales.
All right, and we're back. John's just picking random stuff up in the office again. Amy, we're gonna need to run that radar gun now, or the wand, the metal detecting wand across John again.
Nice, right?
All right, so you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna do the last CCA.
The love in the air. The love.
We're gonna run the last CCA, which is actually a best offer book, believe it or not. So we got kind of distracted by Star Trek. X-Men Schism blank variant cover signed with sketch art, Wolverine by Ken Hazer. It is a best offer book starting at $25. It is number 2 of 50.
Nice. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. I'm trying to find stuff that maybe we haven't seen before. And that was another one that just happened to be laying around. And then after this, we'll do a quick recap of the items that we've covered. Let's see here. Yeah. All right, cool. Let me see. Oh, yeah, we got another Star Trek book, but we'll do a recap first. All right. So Lars Man. Okay, gotcha, buddy. So Lars Man is in at 25. All right. Gotcha, buddy. All right. So we're gonna do a quick recap of everything we've covered. I will do the best offer books first, or best offer items first. Let's see. We had vintage Star Trek: The Motion Picture movie poster, 1979, Coca-Cola, signed by William Shatner, and easily a $200 item. It is damaged. It is crinkled in certain spots, but it is hand signed by William Shatner, and it is a best offer starting at $35. And Lars Man is bullets in you good, buddy. So then we did Star Trek Passage to Morag, a book and record set from 1975. That is a best offer item starting at $10. And then we had Star Trek. Okay, so Lars Man, you're offering 35. Gotcha. Oh, wait, are you already offering 35 on the Shatner poster? Just to be clear. I think so, because that started at 35. So I'm going to...
And he offers 10 on the record.
Okay, so Lars Man is at 35, and then 10 on the record. Okay, gotcha, buddy. All right, and then Star Trek Doctor Who Assimilation, number 8, DF exclusive cover. Best offer item, Lars Man is in the lead at 10.
This is a nice cover, man. This is a real nice cover.
And then we had X-Men Schism blank variant cover signed with sketch art, Wolverine by Ken Hazer. Lars Man is in the lead at 25. And I think, and then best offer, Fantastic Four number 1 signed blank cover variant cover with sketch art, The Thing by Ken Hazer, and where Rupenstein is in the lead at $19.61. Let's see. All right, so now for the full recap, we had Star Trek number 9, Gold Key Comics. We have one available for $160, a presumed grade of 6.0. Lars Man is offering 25 on the FF. Gotcha, Lars Man.
He's going to pick up some stuff tonight.
Yeah, he is. Let's see. Gotcha, buddy. All right, so then we had, let's see, Star Trek number 10, Gold Key. And we have one available for $30, and it is a presumed grade of 7.0. And then we had Star Trek number 11, Gold Key, presumed grade of 7.0, and we have that available for $30. And still available from Mariano's personal collection, the Star Trek model kit. And we have that available for $30. And just full disclosure, it does not have the shrink wrap, but it is all the original pieces are in there, untouched, unglued by the hands of a by a 5-year-old Rex who made it a hot gluey mess. Undecaled because, well, all right, cool. Let me see. Where is that? Okay, there we go. That is a buy it now item. So you are good, Lars Man. On that. All right. Yeah. Let's see. That is Space Encounter. Got it. All right, and where we go? Oh, and then we still had the Tech World Apparel and Comic Book #1 issue from Mariano's personal collection, and we have that available for $100. And then we had the Star Trek, the motion pictures, collector's promo prints, or lobby cards. We're not sure. We have one set available, and it has 3 cards, 3 prints, and we have that available for $50. And then we had Star Trek Deep Space Nine, #3, #4, #5, #8, and #9. Each one is available for $35 and will be signed by Mariano Nicieza. At this point, we may not have enough time to do it on air, but as soon as the show's over, Mariano will sign it with a gold paint pen, and they are all available for $35 each. Let's see. And very cool. Thank you. And then we had the vintage Star Trek the motion picture poster signed by William Shatner, damaged, but Lars Mann is in the lead currently for $35. And Stevie B says that looks like a good drinking sweater, Lars Mann.
Nice.
Then we had Star Trek Green Lantern, the Spectrum War #1 Dynamic Forces exclusive pure line art. And sorry, that was claimed by Lars Mann. Sorry. Let's see. Oh, Star Trek Passage to Moab book and record set. Lars Mann is currently best offer book. Lars Mann is currently in the lead at 10. And then Star Trek Doctor Who Assimilation #8 DF exclusive cover. Lars Mann, best offer book. Lars Mann is also in the lead with that at 10. And then X-Men Schism with the Wolverine sketch art by Ken Hazer. It's a best offer book. Lars Mann is in the lead at 25. And then we had Fantastic Four #1 signed blank variant cover with sketch art of The Thing by Ken Hazer. And Lars Mann is currently in the lead at 25 on that one as well.
Now you got to go through everything else, warp speed, all the rest of the books.
Giving it to John.
I'm just going to
assign. I will say this. I will say this about the gold keys. If nobody takes these select ones, these are actually good grade. We have the entire run from 1967 to 1979. That was part of the collection. So if nobody picks these up, we may put the whole run out there on a future show. But if anybody wants these, we have the entire run. Obviously varying conditions. So we'll throw the last few we have up for tonight. We have Star Trek #12 gold key. And we have one available for $50. And then we had Star Trek #13 gold key, and we have that available for $80.
Look at the robot. Looks like Spock is using judo on a robot. This is totally from Magnus Robot Fighter. Look at this.
The same painter.
It's the same painter.
Maybe Spock is Magnus Robot Fighter. Maybe he had some cosmetic surgery done with the years. I don't know.
I love Magnus Robot Fighter.
All right. And then finally, Star Trek #14 gold key. We have one available for $50.
They did have some great painted covers in that.
They had some great painted covers. Star Trek was probably the best. But
and the TV series, the cartoon series was pretty good. The animated series was pretty cool too. But there were no new stories, were there? They
they were all new. And that it was like literally the fourth season of the show.
Yeah, I kind of remember that. I thought it was a repeat where they go through that one thing, the big circly thing. I forget which episode that was.
I am the Guardian of Forever.
Guardian of Forever.
Yes.
But it was a new episode.
I don't remember. That was so long ago.
Spock is a child.
And Spock is a child.
They had a sequel to Tribbles.
Is it anywhere on YouTube or anything like that? Do you guys know? I gotta go back and watch.
Oh, what, the cartoons?
Yeah,
it's on DVD.
They're on DVD at my house, but they're also
DVD.
I'll let you mind.
They're on. I was gonna say we can get.
There might be a problem. I don't actually have a DVD player.
They
anymore.
might be on Amazon Video or maybe Hulu or something.
Paramount probably has.
Oh, you know what? Right, Paramount Plus.
Paramount streaming.
Oh yeah, Paramount Plus. Yeah, I know I've got to get rid of one of my streaming services that I had gotten for the Olympics, and
Probably Peacock, right?
Yeah, I got to get rid of that and get Paramount.
Peacock had two things: pro wrestling and the Olympics, and the rest of it is just
the Olympics. I watched.
Oh, look at that cover! That's great.
And that was
a really cool one.
Winter Olympics. Sadly enough, Rex, your PS5 should be a DVD player. Yeah, don't have a PS5 either. I think I stopped at PS2, or maybe the original PlayStation. Yeah, then they were
trapped in time between the shoes and the video game.
You got storage bins full of stuff.
I do have storage bins full of that stuff. I found Sony 3DO. I didn't even know I kept it, but I found that.
I had to retire from video games when they started adding all those knobbies on the side, and it was just I couldn't. Who was I talking to about it? I think it was Robbie. My first experience at Halo. It was horrible. I was playing a friend. I was at a friend's house, and his young son. His young son was playing. He goes, "You want to play?" And I'm like, "Sure."
Yelled at for 5 minutes.
What's that?
We got 5 minutes left.
5 minutes.
Yes. Well, the clock's going to expire.
Guys, come on, buy all the stuff so we can go. All right.
Buy all the stuff so John doesn't take it.
It's like a telethon.
You're like Jerry Lewis. And John's going to do a song and dance for us next. What are you singing for us tonight, John?
Well, it depends. I would sing and dance if every one of these books is sold. Everyone.
It might be worth it, viewers. It might be worth it. So I'm playing Halo with my friend's kid, who had to be 8. I don't know. It was an embarrassing age. I was getting my butt. And it was my first experience playing one where you're connected with other people. And some bratty kid.
Oh, that's bad for you.
Okay.
Too.
Some bratty kid kept killing me, and I didn't even know where it was coming from. Okay. I would come back to life, and I'd stand there for a minute and try to get the joystick moving, and then boom! I'd be like, "What happened?" He goes, "Somebody shot you." I go, "Who shot me?" He goes, "I don't know."
Everybody, that happened to City of Villains, which is like a online game from a while back. City Heroes, everybody's from. City Heroes, those just kill people. And when you get into player versus player,
that was the worst experience of my life, right? And then I'm sure there's bratty kids at home like, watch this, I'm going to shoot him again. I come back to life, bang, I'm dead again. So then
he's got to be 30.
So my buddy's kid goes, he's up on the hill on the mountainside.
Yeah.
I'm like, where? So you could just see my character spinning around. Okay. Like, where? Boom, I'm dead again. All right. He goes, you can't see it. I'm like, no, I can't see him, dude. If it was my house, I would have thrown that joystick right in the TV.
Maybe we'll dial it back to the Viewmaster. That was easy. It was one lever. You pulled it. You held it up to the light.
Oh, I had actually made my mom break out the piggy bank and buy me the one with sound. Remember that one?
The talking Viewmaster.
Yes, the big hulking thing. All right.
I got the projector.
Oh man, super high class there. Your mom really did love you. That thing would chew up batteries, man. It was crazy. You could use
that talking Viewmaster like twice, and you needed 9 new C-size batteries.
Yeah, it became a regular Viewmaster because my mom goes, "I'm not sticking any more batteries in that thing."
Now you had a big, heavy regular.
No, I just took the batteries out. Oh no, you couldn't. I remember I couldn't use it because of the light. There was a projection light.
Yeah, there was a light. And it wouldn't work.
So I had to go back to the normal.
I will throw this out. We're 60 seconds in for the, please buy stuff. But Gold Key Comics, and they've been floating this out there. They've put out an Instagram account. They've put out a Twitter account. They've put out a Facebook page coming. Supposedly, Gold Key is going to get back in the saddle.
Oh, really?
Really? I haven't heard that before.
That's what they're talking about. They're trying to reach out to people. They're trying to kind of put themselves. You know what? A lot of times, I think nowadays you kind of have. They have a. And when I first saw an account on Twitter for Gold Key Comics, I'm like, there's accounts for tons of stuff, right? They're like, there's Green Hornet accounts. They're not doing any. We're not doing any more new stuff of that, are we, sir? But anyway. No, they tell you we're trying to sort of. Hey, Nicholas.
Hey, Nicholas.
We're trying to kind of get back together. I mean, we're enjoying this great article, blah blah blah, and of course the first thing they show is Star Trek. It's the Star Trek book.
Interesting.
First thing they did. I would love to see Gold Key came back together.
That'd be kind of cool. Yeah.
There was a time where Gold Key were my favorite comics. People like Marvel, people like DC. I loved Gold Key because there's all the stuff I watched on TV. The Man from U.N.C.L.E., Green Hornet, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea.
Remember that?
There was a lot of Land of the Giants, and you would get this combination of cool painted covers and then studio photo covers.
Alec, I got to ask you, did you even watch the recent Star Trek movies with Chris?
No.
Really?
Never interested me.
I'll tell you
honestly.
What. John will make you one of his special sandwiches if you just watch it.
Back to the food again.
Not if he doesn't like it. That's not.
Hold on.
Yes. Thank you. That's what my mom used to say. How do you know you don't like it if you haven't tried it? All right.
Well,
but I'm willing to bribe
my
you
thing
with
is,
John sandwiches.
You already know I haven't even seen all the Star Wars movies.
I know that was a little upsetting. I cried a little on the inside. I'm not gonna lie.
That's not okay.
Cut the feed.
Cut the feed.
There, and I'm gone.
Yeah,
Actually, you can still hear me.
I want to say that that hurts me a little bit. It does hurt me a little bit when you told me that. I'm determined, Alec, to turn you into a sci-fi fan. I'm determined. I'm not sure how to do it yet, but I mean, definitely I can bribe you with John's food. He is an excellent cook. You hear me joke around a lot with John, and I bust his chops about a lot of things. I guarantee you can go back to every one we've done with John. You've never heard me disparage his knowledge of food, his cooking, or anything like that, because he is an expert. So I'm guaranteeing you the sandwich will be banging, or it could be something else. He can make pizza. He's got that pizza brick oven thingy at home.
I do. I actually posted a picture of a sandwich I made today. I recreated a sandwich that my dad had on his 70s catering menu.
Did you post on Facebook?
I threw it on Twitter.
I don't do Twitter. I'm an old man. I only do Facebook.
I was super flattered.
Hey, Tommy, what's going on? Thanks for joining us, man.
Well-known chefs that were just like, wow, this is a really cool sandwich. And I'm like, thanks.
I gotta tell you, the man knows his stuff. I told you, I don't know if it was Robbie on the show or you, Alec, but there's a local bakery, Bellagio's Bakery, which I'm still trying to get to, which is something always seems to because they're only open till 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, right?
It's really 3-4 people who work in the entire place, and they're trying their best, but most of their staff was like, they have a tremendous menu, and they do stuffed bread, and I've got to try some of that, but believe it or not, if you go to their sandwich section, they actually have a sandwich called the John Cole. All right. I'm not even playing. What was it again? It's it had long hots. It was chicken, long hots. It has a sausage stuffed long hot pepper on a chicken cutlet, and then mozzarella and provolone are melted over.
Oh, well, that sounds delicious.
I'm telling you. So
they're homemade.
All you have to do, Alec, to score one of these delicious sandwiches, all you have to do is just watch. And I'm not even going to make you watch the old man's version. A more current Star Trek. It's called the Kelvin Timeline with Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto and all those guys.
I'd probably prefer the older stuff than the new stuff, honestly.
Okay, that's even better. I'm good with that too.
I just feel like everything new that's made is just not good. I mean, I don't know.
Well, there's a lack of original ideas. I've noticed of late. You know, they're pulling from stuff that already exists.
See, to a certain extent,
that's how I feel with most stuff.
And I'll shoot you the James Bond analogy. Dynamite does killer James Bond stories from different variety of creators or whatever. They do the movies, and it's like they're telling the same 4 or 5 stories in every movie.
Yeah, I agree.
So I really think it's simply a matter of, we've got a variety of creators working on books here for the last 4-ish years, maybe even 5 years. Different.
Right, I agree.
Different everything from the origin of James, his first story, his last story. If you really want to do something, you will. Or you can fall back to a crazy rich dude sitting in an office chair with a white fluffy cat. And I think that's essentially what, whether it's Daniel Craig or whoever. I don't know who the next James Bond will be. It'll be the same thing. It'll be some Elon Musk-like zillionaire who wants to destroy the world. And they, you know what I mean? I'm like, at this point, you're hurting yourselves with that.
So we're coming to the end of the show.
This is a 5-hour show. I just got the text.
Today was a kind of a special because we had the Star Trek Director's Cut, the original motion picture, re-released on Tuesday, which was it Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday.
Yeah, it was Tuesday.
First Contact Day. We are huge Star Trek fans. We had an opportunity for Mariano to be here as well with us, which is awesome. So we kind of focuses on Star Trek. Usual format, we'll have a collection of CGC graded comics, usually a 9.8. We'll have signed comics, cover sketch art remarks by a lot by Ken Hazer and other creators. I know we've had one from Mariano, and he's been kind enough to agree to come back at some point. The last time Mariano was on our show, he actually colored one of his cover sketch arts during a live stream. That was very cool. And I was able to kind of pick his brain about how you go approach things as a creator. So that was really cool. Want to thank Alec. I know we were taking a trip down the Wayback Machine. So Alec's like scratching his head, like, what is these crazy old men talking
I almost feel it's like that meme with what's his name, Steve Buscemi, where he walks in, "Hello, my fellow kids," and he's like a 50-year-old guy. Oh, he's cool.
As always, thanks to John, and thank you tonight to Mariano for sitting here with us for a couple hours, just kind of talking about whatever comes to our mind. Lars, man, thank you very much for saying so.
Thank you.
A great creator, but I've known Mariano now for several years. Great person as well.
Thanks for everybody for joining us. I feel bad. You should send Alex something because this is like 2 hours of his life he's not getting.
I will send Alex something.
We gave him a great tip on the
I was
trilogy.
going to say, this is a learning experience.
Yes.
Look how happy he is to be learning. Sorry, man.
I really expected halfway to the show when we came back from a break that it would be Miss Ellie.
I did. I just thought it would be Miss Ellie
with the little headset on.
Little headset on.
Maybe next week I'll have her do that.
There you go. All right. So JD says give him the test now. No, JD.
No.
We're going to give him the test next Wednesday because I want to give Alec a fair chance to study. Okay? It's not fair. That's not fair. That's like a pop quiz. I don't do that.
And, just a couple things real quick. This was kind of a special show.
Yeah.
If there's something you're looking for, hit up Rex. You guys know by now, you kind of know the deal. We'll be back Monday. Nick will be here Friday with the original.
Nick will be here Friday, 7 to 8 for the original art show.
There's a ton of stuff on the experience. I feel bad. I don't want someone to say, "Oh, I tuned in looking for a specific book and you talked about Star Trek for 2 hours." Go to the website, man. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but literally,
we
go to the
could
website.
Talk about Star Trek a lot longer.
You know what I mean? Go to the website. Go watch somebody else on the channel. I mean, the stuff is there.
Yeah,
it's all
absolutely.
out there.
Make sure you hit Alex's YouTube channel. AR_comics on YouTube. Great content. I know you're
He'll be ranting about this episode all weekend. Those guys.
I'm pretty sure he's going to post up one of his new shorts going, I was on this crazy thing with the experience with these 3 old guys talking about crap I just didn't know anything about. Great content on Alex's channel. So be sure to hit that. If before you check out, if you can hit thumbs up, that would be awesome. And we'll see everybody next Monday for the Comic Collectables. And be sure to tune in on Friday night, 7 to 8 Eastern time for Nick and original art. A lot of cool pieces going to be on this Friday. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Join the party. Head over to our Linktree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.